All right, so now that we have our GitHub app created, the private key generated, and the webhook in our GitHub app, we are ready to deploy. And this video is going to focus on deploying to Netlify functions, and another video we're going to focus on deploying to render. So if we just go into our README here, we can hit deploy to Netlify. So one quick note is functions are limited to 10-second timeout, and that just means if our OpenAI API calls take more than 10 seconds, that we'll get a timeout and we won't get our content update suggestions back. So that's just a limitation of Netlify. You can actually update your Netlify account to a paid tier account, and then you will have access to background functions. And background functions is a really good use case for this because they can run up to 15 minutes. So you likely won't run into a timeout issue. So we'll hit deploy to Netlify. All right, connect to GitHub, logs me in. We're just going to call this AI content loading test. So the app ID, we're going to grab from here, GitHub client ID, grab that from here. Oops. The private key, I'll show you how to get that in a second. Let's just generate a new client secret, copy it, get that. The webhook secret we have in our terminal, and the open API key that can be generated by going to OpenAI, go to your view API keys, and we're just going to call this delete me so I can delete it after I finish recording this. We will copy it, go into our Netlify, hit paste, and then the last thing is this private key. So that is actually in our downloads. And if I just hit cat, isn't this one? Oops. 2023. Just look, see what it's called. It was in our downloads here. Test content updates. So right there. And if we copy this, and we can paste it in there. That looks good. So we have our repo name. So that will get cloned to our personal GitHub account. We have our app ID, we have our GitHub client ID, we have the private key that we got from the file, we have our client secret that we generated, we have the webhook secret that we generated from a command, and then we have our open API key. We'll click save and deploy, and from there we just have to wait. Should be pretty quick because all it's doing is just building a single Netlify function. So it should be a pretty quick deploy. In past experiences, it's only been about 20 seconds. All right, so it looks like it's all ready. If we go to functions, we can see we have this index function, and now we can copy that URL, go over to our GitHub app settings. We can make the homepage URL this. It doesn't really matter what the homepage URL is, but most importantly, we need to make the webhook URL our Netlify function. And then we can hit save changes. And now we have to install this somewhere. So I'm going to install it in my personal account. And I have a repo called test content. There we go. Test content. And we'll hit install. So it looks like it is installed. And now if I comment AI fix a new post.md, we can see that we have commented. And if we go to our functions and we should be able to see it in the logs as well. Okay, so it looks like, so this does happen occasionally on Netlify, I've noticed, where we get a timeout. Unfortunately, there's no way to update it on the free tier, which is what I'm on now. Oh, looks like it worked anyway, so it must have been able to respond before it timed out, so that's good. Yeah, so now we have the content suggestions, and we're able to commit them or not commit them, kind of do as we please there, so that's nice. So yeah, so everything's working as expected, and in the next video we'll show an option to deploy on render as an alternative to Netlify functions.